Hey you, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the system. And in light of Olin Rogers' new Kickstarter campaign being over 500% funded recently for his original science fiction show Godspeed, that will bring his original show Final Space off the ground, and why you should be watching it if you haven't been already. First off, if you like anything science fiction, you'll like or appreciate at least something about this hidden gem of a show. I think the most apt combination of sci-fi things would be this. Final Space has the comedy of Rick and Morty, the heart of any Pixar movie, and really good action. Olin mentions in his goodbye video about the series being cancelled that his voice acting was terrible.
And for all of its faults, like my terrible voice acting, I tried to get better, I tried!
However, I would defend against that and say his voice acting was gripping during the dramatics and hilarious during the funny moments. Same goes for all the other voice actors and actresses as well.
And kind of giving them a little bit of money to kind of go off and make a proof of concept. The idea was to create a serialized, comedic, epic sci-fi adventure with a plethora of heart. But all these things that I watched throughout my life inspired this idea. Movies like Interstellar, Moon, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Sunshine, Battlestar Galactica. This was going to be something special. Something really special.
That was his goal for this brainchild of his. Now this far in, you're probably asking yourself, hey YouTube man, what's this show about? Well, I'm glad you asked. The show stars who will be a great leader very soon, Gary Goodspeed. His story picks up in the midst of working off a prison sentence on the Galaxy 1. We don't find out what he did to deserve this until later this season. Towards the end of his sentence, Gary meets Mooncake, an adorable and powerful little alien Ball who he immediately bonds with. He doesn't yet know that his newfound cute friend is actually in very high demand by the evil Lord Commander, who will do all he can to gain Mooncake's power for himself. This animated intergalactic comedy follows Gary and his team squad's adventures across the galaxy to save all that exists. Speaking of his team squad, if you like the Guardians of the Galaxy and their personalities, then you'll like Gary and his team's adventures and misadventures throughout the universe. That's an advantage this series has. Like I said in my Lightyear review, Final Space shines in the sci-fi properties it's inspired by. Speaking of already existing science fiction properties, if you are sick and tired of the toxicity in fandoms like Star Wars, Marvel, and DC, then this show's community and fandom will be a relaxing change of pace for you.
I dipped my toe into the Star Wars fandom quite a bit.
Y'all need to go back and watch that video because I'm about to say some shit. Okay, riddle me this, y'all. Riddle me this. Chat, you ready? How is it that I can hop on this app, hop on the internet with 3 million followers, literally talking about my opinions, throwing my opinions on the internet, pretty much asking for death threats? I've been called the N-word. I've dealt with so much racism and vulgarity. I've seen it all. But why is it that I would much rather go through that than make a video about Star Wars? There is no way that I should be saying that I would much rather deal with racism than the ire of Star Wars fans. But here we are. I do not want to touch the Star Wars fandom with a 10-foot pole at this point. I am currently enjoying Book of Boba Fett right now. I will make that content, but nah, bruh.
At least in my experience, I've seen no negativity in the ever so kind Final Space community. To reinforce this, here's a comment on Olin's Kickstarter page. The first comment is by Calvin. He says, I am so frickin' hyped about this. I loved Final Space. Plus it reminded me of one of my favorite shows from when I was younger, Futurama. Haven't found a show quite like it until I discovered Final Space. I even got the VR game, although I've only played the first chapter because I want to find friends to play the second and third with. The point is, I'm really excited for this, and I believe in Godspeed. and is definitely getting my support. The second comment is from red_grapes. She says, so happy that this is happening, man. I've looked up to you creatively ever since I first found the Final Space pilot back in early 2016, and it's been such an amazing ride. Can't wait to see what comes next. And the final comment comes from Christy McCraney. She says, I honestly think the lengths you go for something you love is inspiring. Not only am I supporting this because I love your work, but I'm also supporting this due to your clear love for the things that you do. Even if this doesn't result in the revival of Final Space, I'm glad I was able to at least try. I still can't wait to see what you have planned for us, and I'll be here for every update. Speaking of creative endeavors, if you're a creator or aspiring creator of any kind, a storyteller of any kind, you've got to watch this show. This show, Olin's passion, the love for the characters, everything about this show, it's inspired me tenfold creatively. You see, I went through some tough stuff recently, and the love that seeps throughout this show seeped into me and kept me going. It got me out of that hole. Obviously, Final Space wasn't the sole purpose I got out of that place, but it was the first reason I got out of the spot where the pain was the most raw. It was the first thing me and my sister thought to put on. She thought I needed it, because she knows how much this show means to me. Olin put all of his heart and soul and passion and love into this show, because he has so much of these things to give from himself. Some of it transfers into each and every person who watches the show. Whether that currency of inspiration is used by you is up to you. But I have to say that out of all the things I've watched in my lifetime so far, the creativity and inspiration that is dispersed to people through watching is among some of the highest I've ever seen. It will urge you to want to create your own story. However, if you're not a creator, don't worry. This shit is an amazing ride either way. Just if you're not a creator, there will be less analyzing mentally. I recommend watching this show with somebody who's already seen it, because that was my experience with my sister the second time around watching this thing, since it enhanced my experience and connection to the show. But you could also enjoy it just as well with a fellow person who's going just as blind as you, or by yourself. To conclude, this show is a damn good time, full of passion and love and a plethora of heart and creativity. With all that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned to the system right here for more video essays like this and other videos. Bye-bye! And listen to what Olin says right here.
To me, giving somebody inspiration is one of the most beautiful and pure things that you could possibly do. And that would mean it was worth it to me. And look, I know it's in making your own thing, it's a vulnerable thing. You're putting it out in the world for people to judge it. You're saying, this came from me. What do you think? You know? And I'm just gonna say this. I'll say this. Try your best. And you might say, what if my best isn't good enough? Well, I would say it's good enough for me.